Hello, my name is Jennifer, and I am most likely addicted to true crime. Hello, my name is Jennifer, and I am most likely addicted to true crime. Hello, my name is Jennifer. Good morning. How's everybody today? I'm almost awake. I got probably 3, maybe 4 hours of sleep. And Jess says, hey, Jess, I actually just tried to call you. I'm not sure if the number is the same. Anyway, if you still have my number, I hope that you will reach out. I want to talk to you about some channel stuff. Anyway, so here on the channel, there are a lot of changes. I've given the entire channel a makeover. I'm now working on the website as well. So I'm going back through, and right now, Letecia Stauch's case is in front of 3 appellate judges at the state level of the Supreme Court in Colorado. And we have not yet heard any news on Leticia's appeal. I think about it every day because unfortunately, she did actually raise some compelling issues on appeal. Now, because it's Leticia and I personally feel the way I do about her as a human being, if that's what she really is. Anyway, I think about that every day. And so it's in front of a panel of 3 judges right now. And we are currently waiting for them to issue their ruling in writing. And, that could take up to a year. I hope that it doesn't. I think with Patrick Frazie's first appeal, I think it took something like 3 months before we heard anything back. So I don't know exactly when she filed the appeal, but I do know that there was 15 minutes of oral arguments from both sides heard on January 27th of this year of 2026. So anyway, while we're waiting, I want to do things like this. So the reason why I've gathered you here today is because I want to review a video that was put out by a channel called Dr. Insanity. And, the thumbnail on this video, on my live stream here today, the thumbnail says everything wrong with, right? And where is it? There it is. And so I'm not upset by this video. We are going to pick it apart, but for reasons of study. I have nothing bad to say about Dr. Insanity. I am subscribed to that channel. It is highly popular. I think there are at least 3 million subscribers, if not more. But this video in particular, the video titled Mother Kills Her Son, Stuffs Body in Suitcase, this video was put out by Dr. Insanity in 2024, and it's received so far 10 million views. Now, the reason why I'm watching this video is because, as a lot of you already know, I'm working on a 2-part docuseries. And so with part 1, I'm going to keep it down to an hour, and it is going to be basically, the disappearance of Ganon Stauch. And then part 2, I'm going to try not to just veer off track. It's Leticia, it's heavy, there's a lot of details, and you know how I get with this case, so bear with me. Anyway, so part 1, 1 hour or less, professionally edited, not done by me, is going to be the disappearance of Ganon Stauch. And then part 2 is the prosecution of Letecia Stauch. And it will also be 1 hour or less. So one of the things that I'm doing right now is reviewing everything else that's out there about this case, and I'm not looking to get anything like 10 million views. The information and the accuracy of the information is more important than, any sort of, commercial success that comes from the videos that I make. And you know how much I have researched this case over the years. So anyway, this is, I think, the most popular video that's come out since Leticia's trial. And like I said, 10 million people have seen it. So we'll just put the jury. You guys remember my jury. We'll put the jury on the screen and then let me cue up the video. So what I've done, let's see. Whoops, that's the wrong one. Well, anyway, since I made the mistake, I also want to let you know that we have a new attorney that is affiliated with the channel. It's an attorney from Black, Blink & Associates in Colorado Springs. And he actually used to work at the Public Defender's Office with Chris Welch, who was our last attorney on the channel. Chris is no longer practicing criminal defense in the state of Colorado. And so we now have a new attorney coming on board, and we're going to see him for the first time next Saturday when we talk about the original trial for Leticia and her appeal. Anyway, I didn't mean to put that up on the screen, but since it was there, I figured I'd tell you about it. Okay. So what I've done with this video is I watched it myself yesterday, and I went through and I added like a black screen with white text, and those are my sort of interjections. So the reason I have the jury up on the screen today, let me put them up there, and I think it'll show through the video. Anyway, the reason I have the jury up on the screen is because we're basically watching this video like it's Mystery Science Theater. And the reason I'm doing it is not to talk shit about Dr. Insanity. I would never. But I want to correct some information that they got wrong, and and just put it in my banks as I'm working on my own 2-part docuseries. So I'm here not to critique necessarily, but I'm here to study, and you can't study without critique. So anyway, let me shut up, and I'll be pausing the video here and there. There are things that we have to do for fair use anyway. So I hope that you are here for it. Okay.
So he said he was going to his friend's house to play video games.
He left at 3:30.
I don't know the exact time.
This woman is in the midst of lying to police. Just hours ago, she brutally murdered her son Ganon, hid his body in the basement, and called 911 to report him missing. Officers at the scene have no idea what they walked into, and they will quickly find themselves entangled in this killer's twisted lies.
Is there anybody down here?
No.
No one. Okay.
So then when I get downstairs, he had one of the guns. And I was terrified. He asked me to give him a suitcase.
Is Ganon a dumpster?
No.
You didn't hurt Ganon? Did you kill Ganon?
No.
But this was just the beginning of her lies.
Why would I hurt our child? I had everything in the world. I have no motive.
So tell me where he is and let me help you.
I don't know where he is. All I can tell you is I did not hurt him.
In the early hours of January 27th, Leticia texts her supervisors at Widefield School District 3. stating that she cannot come to work. Allegedly, her stepfather was killed in a hit and run, and she has to tend to his passing. Nearly 6 hours later, at 9:56 a.m., Leticia sends another text to her employers. This time, she states that Ganon is sick and she needs to stay home. However, just 20 minutes later, at 10:16 a.m., a neighbor's surveillance camera captures Leticia and Ganon entering their red Nissan Frontier and driving away. During this time, Leticia would visit a Petco on Nevada Avenue instead of visiting a doctor to treat her allegedly sick son. By 2 p.m., both Ganon and Leticia returned home, but something was off. Not only did Leticia purchase cleaning supplies moments after their return, but backed all the way into her driveway. According to family and friends, Leticia never backed up all the way into the driveway. But for now, only one credible conclusion can be made. The only person last in contact with Ganon was his own stepmother. And oddly enough, she would report him to be missing 5 hours later at 7 p.m.
My son was supposed to be home at 6 o'clock, and it's almost 7. And we went to all his friends' house. He said he was going to be at his friend's house, and they said he wasn't there, and the other one said he never came there. So I don't know any other people to call and ask. And I talked to my husband, so I told him I had to call you guys as fast as I could because I don't know anyone else here that he could be. He's only 11.
With this call, officers rushed to Leticia's home in an attempt to gather as much information as possible, because every single second, Ganon's trail gets colder.
Did he take his bike?
No.
Okay, because somebody saw a little kid on a bike. They posted it, but I didn't know if he brought it.
Well, he did, unless he took it sooner and brought it back because Lena ends up getting the bike.
What color's the bike?
Dinner.
Blue
And he never
and black.
came home. They thought he was at his friend's house. He was like,
Yeah, there's
They never
one
went to his
picture
friend's
someone
house.
said he was on,
Okay.
and he was making the switch.
For someone who just realized their son is missing, Leticia is strangely calm. Not only that, she states with her initial alibi that Ganon was visiting her friend, which is clearly a lie as Ganon never left the home after his return. Undoubtedly, something is very wrong here. But for these officers, Leticia is nothing more than a concerned mother as they continue to search her home.
Okay, because you weren't in here in the beginning, right? I didn't know if I had that box cutter and all that stuff in there because I told him about he dropped a candle last night.
oh, okay.
And I thought I must have picked it up. I was just making sure. I didn't want you to be like, oh, just a box cutter. But yeah, I had to cut this, and I told them I wasn't even going to tell Dad, and I was going to figure out a way to put this in there from the situation, but.
At least you got a cart. Yeah.
Right, I just took it and covered up with the carpet and stuff like that, but.
Does he have any friends around here?
There is let me look on this thing. He did have this one, boat thing.
That's where you're supposed to be at down the road. But they checked that already? They went over there and talked to him, and they're like, no, we hadn't seen him at all. Oh, okay.
He did have this
And you talked to parents, right? You didn't talk to...
Yeah, Connor's mom came over, who is a friend he hangs out with all the time. So they come over. The people here, the friends, they were just the ones that were at the door with the bike.
Okay.
They came over. A bunch of people came over.
Keep in mind that officers have not yet completed their house search. They have only gone through the home superficially. Yet, oddly, Leticia is trying her best to keep them restrained to two sections of the house. The living room.
Just real quick, I wanted to interject here. So, Dr. Insanity told this story in 30 minutes, and that is damn near impossible. You know, I'm looking at these episodes of 1 hour each, and I'm like, how the hell am I going to put there's no way. Anyway, it's a daily struggle. But, Dr. Insanity made this video. It was less than 30 minutes, and the amount of information they were able to put in and have it still be a good video, which it is a good video, even though the basic premise is inaccurate. The basic premise is that Leticia is keeping them in two areas of the house. And that's Ganon's room. And the narrator believes that right now, what's on the screen, that is the upstairs living room, but it's not. This is the basement living room. And that's where Ganon's room was. So the Dr. Insanity is telling this story that Leticia is trying to keep them in those two areas of the house, and and that's how the police knew that she was hiding something. You know, this is the moment she knew. This is the moment they knew she was hiding. No, they didn't know anything that night. It was just Leticia and Harley and Lane over there, and Leticia's running the entire narrative. Oh, anyway, let me shut up. I'm going to actually go back a little bit.
Time. So they come over. The people here, the friends, they were just the ones that were at the door with the bike.
Okay.
They came over. A bunch of people came over.
Keep in mind that officers have not yet completed their house search. They have only gone through the home superficially. Yet, oddly, Leticia is trying her best to keep them restrained to two sections of the house. The living room, where there is a burnt piece of carpet, and Ganon's room. This strange behavior would only worsen as Leticia is committed to keeping the officers where they are.
He forgets to like bring this or bring that or bring this or bring that. You know?
Still good.
Yeah.
So no clothes are missing or nothing?
No, we actually lay out all the clothes all the time. Like for, you know, like every day at school, we lay out clothes, we do whatever.
Is his jacket gone?
He had on he has several jackets. Like it depends on, I'm very like fashion. So
We've talked about this part so many times because I'm very like fashion. Keep in mind, the deputy has just asked her. He wants to know if Ganon's wearing a jacket. He doesn't want to have a tour of Ganon's closet to make sure that you are a good enough mother that you buy the boy clothes. And he's certainly not asking about your fashion sense. He wants to know if a missing child has a jacket like on him. Not
it just depends on jackets. Like he might have this black one with this, or there's a blue one with this.
So he had a jacket.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Silver jackets. Like you see the kid has, you know, like tons and tons of clothes, and he just, you know, he has all that stuff. So
There's a weird text that Dad got about something about
90
bath
pounds,
salts. And hey, if you
And then I
if
sent
I
you that
can get some
picture
bath
that-
salts, do we have any bath salts? And my friend will let me play Sonic or something at their house.
He sent that to his dad.
Yeah, I got it. And then Mom goes through everything, finds this part. Yeah.
This is the exact moment that officers realized that Leticia was hiding something from them. It's strange that she randomly closes the door here as if there was something in the basement that she didn't want the cops to see. Her behavior, words, and strategies to deflect the cops from certain areas of the house did not go unnoticed. Consequently, her devices were subjected to a forensic analysis where officers would come across a disturbing video recorded on Sunday, January 26th, a day before Ganon supposedly went missing.
Ganon, I promise this is the last time I'm going to ask you. I'm just freaked out, okay? Are you sure you didn't do it on purpose?
He did it.
Okay, you promise. You promise.
On purpose.
Pinky promise.
Pinky.
Okay, alright, so listen, we're gonna have to sell stuff to fix it. So we figure out what we gotta sell. We can sell the sofa, because we gotta get it fixed, so lady, don't be mad at us and kick us out the house. Okay?
This video was recorded by Leticia when Ganon supposedly dropped a candle on the carpet, leaving a burn mark. What the video doesn't show is that Ganon sustained burn injuries on his arms from the candle, and rather than treating his burns, Leticia is heard scolding him instead. Additionally, during the phone analysis, officers discovered a phone call that Leticia had made to her husband, Albert Stauch, informing him of the situation.
He told me
me, it was just his arms. So I didn't see anything that would have thrown a flag that I had to be like, oh my God, emergency or anything like that.
But if his arms was bubbling, that's not an emergency?
Well, it hadn't broke skin, like it was just underneath. In my mind, I'm like, let's evaluate the situation tomorrow and see or whatever. It wasn't burn mark, it was bubbly. I didn't see it as a bad thing. I just knew he was like, it's not hurting. We put aloe on it, and I assumed, okay.
So at the top of each of these little interjections, and it was so hard reviewing this video because I want to go into everything that I'm seeing on the screen, and I want to talk about what Leticia's doing and all of that. But the purposes here today, we are looking at this video. So I labeled the top of each of these interjections as either misleading, somewhat misleading, inaccurate, or sometimes it's just my own interjection, right? This particular part, I felt like it was somewhat misleading just the way they set it up in context. But once again, if I'm putting myself in the shoes of the person who's creating this video in a timely manner, which, anyway, it wasn't a phone call from Sunday night. It was one of the pretext calls. And I think that's important. And the reason why I put it up here and said somewhat misleading is because it's important to know that Albert mostly ignored her phone calls and text messages the night of the candle incident, the night before she killed him. So this is misleading when it sounds like it was a phone call. It's misleading when it sounds like it was a phone call that he took that night while he was out of town about his son being burned and Leticia being a hero. Okay.
As heartbreaking as this call is, the burns described are likely second degree because of both the freezing feeling that Ganon described and the presence of blisters. Things aren't adding up, and the story so far paints a really bad light on Leticia. However, officers need to verify what really happened, as it was after this incident that Ganon disappeared. That's why on January 30th, 3 days after Ganon's disappearance, Leticia was called in for an interview so detectives could understand the circumstances surrounding the situation.
So Ganon had started a candle. Again, normal day. He's very responsible in terms of if you give him something and say, do this, and this, like a list to prepare, he's fine. So we let him, do things like that. So I didn't see a problem with him, light a candle, whatever. And Lena asked me, could she stay up and still watch the rest of her iPad or whatever. It was just her birthday, and I was trying to give her a little bit extra because we went all out for Ganon's birthday. We took him to a Rockies game. We took friends with him.
It is already strange that Leticia is going on several tangents and prefacing this entire conversation with the loving relationship she had with her children, especially with her daughter, Harley Hunt, whom she would refer to as Lena. Almost as if she wants to say that whatever happened with the candle was not intentional.
So it starts beeping. It's like a beep, 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 beep. And I thought that someone was coming in the house. I didn't see anything going on. Then it started saying fire, 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 fire. So there was smoke coming up through the basement. So then I ran back downstairs to get Ganon. And then the fire was on the floor over here, then on the sofa. So I'm pretending this is the sofa and this is our floor. So it was right here and right here. And I saw the candle that was over here. So there was covers everywhere because the kids always get on about, they leave a lot of covers laying around all the time. I take a whole bunch of them and I go and basically smash down on the sofa and the fire to put it out. So I got a burn, and then I was like, get up again, and started running at that point because it wakes him up. He's alert. He's realizing that the covers and everything's on fire, the carpet's on fire, and we all go outside.
Essentially, what occurred was a freak accident from Ganon. Due to him accidentally knocking over a candle, a small fire had somehow ignited on the carpet in the basement. This was the same cut-up section of the carpet that Leticia had previously shown officers, but...
So here I said inaccurate but understandable. And, you know, I asked people recently if they felt like the candle incident had been fully and properly explained to their satisfaction as the audience, and resounding no from the majority. So anyway, so once again, you know what, in my opinion, what he's saying here is inaccurate, but it's understandable. There was a ton of confusion. So I think about the candle incident the way I think about Suzanne Morphew going on a bike ride. You know, those were both bullshit stories that were setups by the murderer. And so the way that it's presented here, you know, does it do any harm? I mean, again, it's not a bad video. There are just a lot of inaccuracies and things that are kind of taken out of context. And I understand, you know, why these mistakes would be made. And who am I to criticize a video that they put out that has received 10 million views? It's a successful video. This video, even with the inaccuracies, it's not like it did harm, you know, with them being wrong about the details. But for what I'm working on, you know, it's important to look at what other people have done on the topic, you know? And so anyway, inaccurate but understandable. Ganon did not accidentally set a fire. Ganon didn't start a fire at all. Leticia set the fire because she wanted to fake another emergency. She was desperate for her husband's attention. He had just left town. They had been fighting. She faked a pregnancy on Saturday, and he didn't take the bait. And so Sunday, she causes this fire in order to make herself look like a hero. And this is not a one-off event. This is something Leticia has done over and over and over. If things are not going her way, if she's not getting what she wants, if she has demanded your full attention and you have the nerve to not give it to her, then you better watch out for what's going to happen next, because you know better. You know better. You know, once you lock yourself into any sort of personal relationship with Letecia Stauch, you become her prisoner. She is in charge. She is the main character, and you are merely an accessory. You may eventually receive the rank of necessary accessory, but you will always be an accessory. And she's very fashion. She's very, you know, like fashion, don't you know? Anyway, I've taken off on a damn tangent. Let me get back to the video. Inaccurate but understandable. Ganon did not accidentally set a fire. Ganon didn't start a fire at all. Leticia set the fire to fake another emergency because she was desperate for her husband's attention. She framed Ganon to make herself look like a hero. And you probably already know about the fake burglaries, once again, to get her husband's attention. And this goes all the way back to when Leticia and Albert started messing around while Albert was still married. They were playing softball, adult co-ed league. Albert and his wife Landon were going through a divorce. Leticia saw opportunity and she saw weakness. And Letecia Stauch is a predator. She wasn't Letecia Stauch then. But as soon as she decided that she was going to become Letecia Stauch, and in her mind, becoming this thing that she was going to create that had the name Letecia Stauch, in her mind, she had a military husband with TRICARE for life. He was responsible. He was traditional. He believed in the American dream. He loved his children. It was unfortunate that he was going through a divorce, but that was her opportunity. She is an opportunist. She saw weakness. She saw pain. She saw tragedy. And for Leticia, That is an opportunity to rise. And she thought that she had landed herself a husband. I mean, granted, he came with an ex-wife and 2 kids, but she was willing to work around that for herself and her own daughter, who was 17 years old at the time, right? No, she was 17 years old at the time of Ganon's murder. I can't remember how old she was when Leticia and Albert got together, but if my memory serves, and true crime has melted my brain, if memory serves, Harley was around 12 years old when Leticia snatched herself up a husband. And it didn't go the way Leticia thought it was going to go. Man, I have really veered off. Anyway, my point is that when they got to Colorado, she wasn't getting enough attention. She didn't want to be in Colorado, so she faked a couple of burglaries. When they were in Alaska, because Albert was stationed in Alaska, she didn't want to move to Alaska. She didn't like it. So she staged 2 counts. Well, they weren't counts. It wasn't charged. Leticia accused Albert's commanding officers in the National Guard of sexual harassment against her. Lo and behold, Albert gets moved to Colorado. Leticia goes to Colorado. She's willing to create what she wants to create, her story with her little actors doing what she wants them to do. And it just didn't work out for her. Okay. God, I don't even know where we are in the video. See, this is why I need help, you guys.
This was odd. Second-degree burns by just a knocked-over candle, especially on both arms, is unlikely, if not impossible. Ganon would have also had enough common sense to run away from flames. After all, it was a slow-moving fire caused by a candle.
Okay, another quick pause here, and this is just an interjection. This has nothing to do with inaccuracies or misleading narrative in the video, which again, didn't cause any harm, but drives me crazy. Okay, so this is just an interjection. And this is my opinion, and I want to be clear that this is my opinion, and this goes back to the candle incident. Okay, so there were narcotic painkillers found in his system at autopsy. And keep in mind, we're talking about Sunday, January 26, 2020. Leticia had been feeding Ganon laxatives all day, and then she took him on a hike where he went to the bathroom in his pants. And it ruined everyone's day. Once again, this is Leticia. Like, I was good enough to take him on a hike, and, you know, and she's doing this while her husband is traveling from Colorado to Oklahoma. He's busy. He can't take her calls. He can't continue to argue about what they've been arguing about since Saturday when she pretended to be pregnant. Anyway, so this is Sunday. She's feeding Ganon laxatives. She takes him on a hike. She causes him great embarrassment and then basically punishes him through the guilt and shame and the remarks to his little sister about him going to the bathroom in his pants. And then she tells Harley, you know, about him going to the bathroom in his pants. And then she's texting Albert, and Albert won't respond. And then the candle incident happens. Anyway, so, you know, there was a bunch of hydrocodone found in his system along with acetaminophen, right? And so the narrator for Dr. Insanity believes that Leticia gave him that hydrocodone to treat his burns. Well, listen, this is not Nurse Leticia, and she's doing all of this on purpose. Do you think she gives a shit about Ganon's pain? I don't think so. I could be wrong. Again, we're talking about my opinion, and we're all up in my crazy ass brain. So I believe that Leticia first gave Ganon his father's hydrocodone after they got back from hiking and before the candle incident. Because the way the story has been told, and I've heard it told by her 5 different ways. and it changes depending on her audience and the evidence that has come out between then and the last time she told the damn story. Anyway, I believe that she gave him hydrocodone. He crashed out on the couch. He fell asleep, drugged on the couch after having a really tough day, not understanding why he's gone to the bathroom in his pants. He feels terrible. Anyway, she starts this fire. He's drugged. And then she puts on the show. She includes Ganon in this show to such a point that she is able to gaslight him, an 11-year-old little boy who I believe she is drugged at this point, into believing that he's the one who actually started the fire. See, because she's already been busted. She's been busted about the sexual harassment. Albert knows that didn't happen. She's been busted about the burglaries. Albert knows that those didn't happen. She's been busted. Another thing I haven't mentioned is that she tried to frame Ganon in something I call the knife incident. And Leticia, once again, accidentally recorded Ganon allegedly coming at her with a knife, right? And then she even showed that to a counselor. She'd been trying to frame Ganon for a long time. And if framing Ganon didn't work, she always tried to set herself up as the victim, as someone who needs rescuing, or as the hero. Leticia is a storyteller, and storytellers are dangerous in the court system, just for the record. And I know I'm all over the place. Thanks for walking through it with me. Blessed Mama, good to see you. She says, pisses me off that she says this monster is his mother, that he says this monster is his mother when she was just a step-shit parent. And there are a lot of excellent step-parents out there. And as soon as I saw the word son in the title, I too was secretly triggered. And Marianne's in the house. Marianne, it's easy to say your name, but every time I try to type your name in chat, it comes up as mayonnaise, and I'm sorry. Ava's here. Good to see you. So anyway, let's get back to it. What was I saying? I had forgotten to mention, we talked about the burglaries. We talked about the sexual harassment, and Albert knew about all of that stuff. And it's one of the main reasons he was ignoring her on Sunday night. He knew she was full of shit. He knew she wasn't pregnant, and they had been, anyway. I'm going to go back a little bit because I don't know where I lost track of myself here. Okay. Still, it's playing, but this is just a pause I put in.
This wasn't strange enough. Leticia begins to recount the injuries Ganon suffered, but this time, they would be different from what she told Albert.
I was scared because my thought process was Albert is going to kill me. Because I made a mistake as a parent and forgot to really check him down. And he really got a little bit more burnt than he should have. So I was freaking out because it's he's going to kill me. And Ganon's it's okay. There was blood. And he had on his arms. And as it was peeling, and I should have called.
Where did he have blood at?
I should have called the hospital and just asked, I don't know enough about burns, but I should have called the hospital and just asked, I made a mistake.
To quote, Leticia just said more than he should have, and secondly, implied that Ganon was somehow bleeding because of burns, an apparent contradiction to what she told Albert. More importantly, this was a massive slip-up by Leticia, and detectives suspect that this fire wasn't a simple mistake. However, there is no way to confirm this situation as of now, but there is one conclusion that officers can make. Leticia is lying. When a suspect is guilty, they often make major changes to alibis, as opposed to someone who is innocent and has little variation in their story. In Leticia's case, she changes major details about the candle incident, especially her response, which was recorded on her phone, which sets off a series of red flags for the detectives, as they now believe that she might go as far as changing her original alibi about Ganon's disappearance too, and begin to question her about it. If this assumption turns out to be true, there is a high likelihood that Leticia is withholding even more crucial information.
He goes in through the garage. I go in. I'm getting ready to put up the things, stuff like that. As we got inside, I heard something, but I didn't think anything about it because I thought, maybe Ganon was like doing something. Maybe we were like doing whatever. And the guy was in there, and I gave him the code.
The guy from the...
Yeah, it's all my fault because I gave him our code to fix the carpet.
Okay.
And I shouldn't have. And then when I walked downstairs, I hear something again. Well, at that point in time, Ganon was on the sofa, and I saw him, and I heard something again, and I walked on around, and he was standing in there. He had on gloves.
In the storage closet?
Yes.
Okay.
He had one of the guns.
Okay.
And I was terrified.
Okay.
So terrified. And then he just knocked me down and like towards Ganon's room, and he was hitting on me. It was like hard, like on the ground. And he was trying to like rape me.
Exactly as predicted, Leticia's alibi has changed from Ganon visiting a friend's house to having an intruder break into her home. But this would only be the start of her outrageous lies, as, according to her, confrontation with this stranger escalates.
And I'm like pleading and like talking and like all these things going on. Like just back and forth with him. And why are you doing this? Why did you hurt us? Why are you doing these things? And then he was like on top of me again. And then I kind of lied out again because he just hit my head again.
Really?
And then, and then he was like, he asked me to give him a suitcase. And I gave him a brown suitcase. And then he hit me on the head again. And I like right here. He just kept like hitting me right there like that.
Okay.
And so then he did that, and then I blacked out again. I was having a panic attack. And then I don't know what happened from there. I really don't. I don't know. I just know that I did lie. I did. When they came, I did say, Ganon left, whatever. You know that. But he never did. He never left to go play. Or I just didn't know what to do, and I panicked in the moment. And I didn't want Albert to be like trying to hurt us because we kind of get a lot of fights. And I just want that's the only reason that I made up the lies.
A simple way to check whether she has been assaulted is using a sexual assault nurse examiner at a local hospital. These are registered nurses who receive special training to collect forensic evidence from assault survivors. Conveniently, Leticia rejected this examination when officers offered it to her. Not only that, but even CCTV footage confirms the fact that no one entered or left the Stauch residence after Leticia and Ganon came home. She likely thought that this poorly planned story would absolve her of any crimes. Fortunately, quite the opposite happened. Noticing these contradictions, police officers handed this case over to the FBI, who gathered CCTV footage from neighbors and came to a harrowing realization. The morning after Ganon's disappearance, Leticia rented a Kia Rio for 24 hours and left the house at approximately 8:30 a.m. on the 28th of January. When the car was returned the following day at 8 a.m. on the 29th of January, it had clocked in 955 miles in the span of one day. This could mean only one thing. Leticia had likely murdered Ganon after their return at 2 p.m. and on the morning of January 28th, left to dump his body. While this much is easy to figure out, the exact details surrounding the murder are still not known. This is why 1 month after Ganon's disappearance, on March 2nd, federal investigators called Leticia in for yet another interview to piece together this confusing puzzle of Ganon's disappearance and possibly his murder.
Because of the nature of the warrant, it being a murder warrant, we need to know the real story because you put out quite a few different stories.
About you?
We heard a lot of the stories to Al.
To Albert? The reason I already knew someone was listening to him, but because of him not ever being supportive, and I tried originally to talk to him when he first got there, that was the only reason I said those things to him, was just because I was out of anger and out of hurt and not being able to have support. It was nothing to do with me saying those things to him. Was just being what is the word you want to call it? Selfish or facetious or whatever you want to call it. I did have originally initial different thoughts on certain things, and that was me trying to basically read him and try to figure the situations out. So I understand that you may have heard those or whatever you may have heard, and that's okay because that totally was not.
What Leticia is referring to hearing are rumors about the friction between her and Albert. Since he was a National Guard, Albert was rarely home, and Leticia felt he gave little attention to her. This had resulted in instability in their relationship, which Leticia initially denies as being small apprehensions she felt about him. However, when the officer confronts her about odd searches on her phone, she goes into a state of absolute panic.
You know, in here I even have what you entered in your phone. The stuff that you've entered and deleted, blood is spurting from an arterial bleed, direct pressure not controlling.
Do what? I didn't look this up.
It's from your phone.
Blood is what?
Spurting from an arterial bleed.
No.
Somebody did from your phone. I don't like my stepson.
No.
I don't like my stepson. Should I get a divorce? I'll stalk cheating. I'll stalk Instagram. I'll stalk cheating in Colorado Springs. How to get blood out of sheets.
Out of sheets?
Mm-hmm. I want immunity.
Oh, the blood out of sheets was because we always had always nosebleeds. If I ever looked up blood out of sheets, it was nosebleeds.
And I figured it might be something.
I didn't ever look up anything about an artery or something unless it went from something else.
It's on your phone.
And I never looked up anything about my stepson or what someone else did.
The searches that the investigator just named would only be a few of the 34 searches that Leticia made between the 25th and the 28th of January, which is the exact time frame that Ganon went missing. Conveniently, she would have an excuse for every single one of them.
The reason I brought up gangs is you looked up, I want immunity because it was gang related. And this sounds like find me a new husband, find me a rich guy who wants to take care of his kids.
The new husband is just because Albert already knew that was about the lady Debbie Sherrill who wanted to find a new husband after 35 or something. He picked me about Amazon.
A lot of these can have nothing to do with this.
It doesn't.
I get it. I'm doing all the work for my stepkids and their mom doesn't help.
Oh, that bothered me. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't blame.
Oh yes, because I wanted them to be mine.
One day, some people will wish they treated you differently, which I get that. Parenting should be for people, not one. What a societal person might say. I mean, these make me very sad when I read them because I can see you're doing all the work at home by yourself.
Which I wanted to be there. I wanted to totally have the kids as my children. That's the point you're not getting. I wanted those kids to be saying to me that I'm their mom. Yeah. I'm the person who cares for them, loves them, everything.
If these were not incriminating enough, investigators also found 12 deleted search terms in Leticia's iPhone, all of which pertaining to her wanting to find a new husband and being sick of being with Albert.
What do you do if you suspect a person swallowed poison? Did somebody actually swallow poison?
Poison? I don't know. I always click things and read them.
Did somebody swallow it?
No one swallowed any poison.
Okay. You will never forgive me and treat me like a princess. You'll never know when it's too late.
Oh yeah, I always search for things when Albert was gone.
What is an offered plea? Did you figure out what an offered plea was?
Offered plea?
Yeah.
I think someone asked me that and I probably searched it.
Do you know what it is?
Yeah.
You remember? What did you remember?
I don't remember. I just remember something. Because someone was writing that online. So if anyone wrote something online, I looked it up. Just like the other day, someone wrote something about FBI coming or something, and I if I see something online, I always Google.
Usually when a suspect undergoes a criminal trial and is found guilty of a crime, they are given a maximum sentence. However, there is a legal loophole to avoid this. If a suspect pleads guilty, yet remains adamant that they are innocent, then they are not given a maximum punishment. Instead, they are given a known punishment for a crime. This is known as the Alford plea. But as always, Leticia has a convenient story for a search as incriminating as this and continues deflecting any and all evidence. Because of this cathartic behavior, the detective decides to reroute the conversation elsewhere. A preliminary investigation of the house found blood splotches covering the rear of the truck. Ganon's living space, and even the cut-up carpet.
I've seen the markers from the spray. The spray went from the bed all the way up here. Well, you had to clean it up.
I don't know anything about that.
It comes from aspirated blood.
Okay.
Do you know what that means?
No.
It means that he didn't accidentally do it.
Okay. Whatever.
So that's what we were waiting on for the warrants, because somebody struck Ganon in the bed.
If someone struck Ganon in the bed, thank God we were all drugged then. If that's what you're saying happened.
Well, then can you tell me how that blood got on the wall?
Sir.
That's Ganon's blood on the wall.
Okay, well, I guess, sir, if you think you have all the answers, then
You're making me guess.
I'm not.
You've got the answers.
I'm not making you guess, sir.
It doesn't work like it does on TV. Have you ever watched Criminal Minds or Profilers?
I don't watch any of that stuff because I don't do bad things to people.
You know, good people watch those shows.
I don't do any of that. I don't do bad things to people.
Right now, you're the last person with Ganon.
I don't do bad things to people. I don't.
I don't think you do bad things to people.
I don't do bad things to anyone, and I didn't do anything bad to Ganon.
I think something bad happened to Ganon, and I don't know of a way to get you to tell me about it.
When Ganon returned home on the 27th of January, a doorbell camera had captured audio of neighborhood dogs being sent into a frenzy by what appeared to be Ganon screaming. By 5 p.m.
So not only was that not verified, but I actually cut the audio out of the video. It's not verified that that was Ganon screaming. Also, that part of the video makes Kilo bark like crazy. And if that is the sound of Ganon screaming, I never want to hear it again. So I cut it out.
3 hours after these screams, Leticia had ordered her daughter, Harley Hunt, to buy cleaning supplies from a nearby Dollar Tree at 5 p.m. These included baking soda, vinegar, trash bags, and carpet powder from a nearby Dollar Tree. The baking soda and carpet powder to absorb the odor of blood and clean minor stains on the carpet. The vinegar was bought to remove deeper stains on walls and act as a disinfectant, and the trash bags to hide Ganon's body. A body that officers had missed by mere inches and had been hidden away in some part of the basement or garage. Every single location that Leticia showed officers, the garage, the carpet, and Ganon's room, were all locations that Ganon had bled in. Not only that, her searches about human anatomy from before indicate that she stabbed Ganon in the artery, which resulted in arterial spray, after which Leticia desperately tried to clean up the evidence of her crimes. This is also the reason she had backed up all the way into her driveway, as the rear end of her vehicle was filled with blood, indicating that abuse had taken place prior to them returning home. Knowing that the investigator is catching on to this story, her initial attempts of feigning innocence now turn into desperate attempts to deflect everything that she is told.
Why would I hurt our child? I had everything in the world. Why? I have no motive. None. Don't have the first motive. Everything I wanted in my life, I had it. Why? Doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make sense a lot of the time what happens inside of a house.
And sir, I don't even know what you're talking about. All I can tell you is I did not hurt him.
Notice that she uses the word motive, which is often terminology that is used by law enforcement when charging a criminal, corroborating the facts that she had done her due diligence about the law in case she got caught, just like her searches about the Alford plea. Regardless, the investigator knows that there is a limit to how much she can refuse cold hard facts, and begins to pressure her even further by promising her that he is more concerned about Ganon's safety rather than her crimes.
I do want to help, and whether you did this or not, it doesn't matter to me. With all the evidence that they have, the reason why it took so long is the district attorney wanted to wait and wait and wait till they made sure they could win in the courtroom.
Okay.
And I've done no body homicides before. They have more on this case than we do on most of them.
Okay. But if you have what you need, why do you keep asking me?
Because our goal is to find Ganon. Our goal is not to prosecute you. That is the district attorney's job. We're investigators. And like you've just seen, I do a poor job about half the time because I have to guess. Because as much as we tried to track you with your cars and your phones and whatever else, there are gaps. We do have, like I told you, the blood in the house. We do have, do you know about the board that was thrown in the forest? Leticia?
Oh. What? I'm sorry, sir. What?
The board that has Ganon's blood on it that was thrown in the forest.
Okay. So all right, so what?
You got your DNA on it.
Presented with such overwhelming evidence, a suspect would usually crack under the pressure and allow themselves to be arrested. In Leticia's case, however, not only does she keep refuting everything the detective has to say, but even goes as far as accidentally giving him even more incriminating information.
The blood that you or your team allow people to be in the house.
That has no bearing on this.
Okay, well, if it doesn't, then okay.
It doesn't.
Okay, so
You ready to tell me the last time you saw Ganon?
maybe check one of them, because
I bet you they can tell me the last time they saw Ganon, even though it was months before.
Your answer.
I bet Al can tell you the last time he saw Ganon, even though he didn't know that was going to be the last time. I guarantee you he's got an image of Ganon. And you were the last one looking at Leticia.
Okay.
Now, Leticia has just agreed that she was the last person who saw Ganon. Not only this, but throughout this interview, she has also admitted to Ganon's injuries, blood locations, and motives. With all of this information that Leticia herself provided, this was less of an interrogation and more of a confession of murder. Leticia was a broken individual. She cast aside her husband and 2 children because of 2 major reasons. 1, Albert's job in the National Guard made her resent him and wish she was married to someone better. 2, her extreme inferiority complex towards Ganon's biological mother, Landon Bull.
I just wanted to pause it here. This is the only time in the Dr. Insanity video that we see Landon Bullard, Ganon's mother. It's only one still shot from an interview, and it's a pretty unfortunate image. Dr. Insanity. Never mind. I'm already late for an appointment with Martin, so I don't want to screw that up. Okay, so let me just get. I probably shouldn't have paused it. Okay. Let me go back to the beginning of the conclusion. We're going to watch the conclusion, and then I'm going to wrap it up with some thoughts and get out of here. We'll just start there.
She was married to someone better. 2, her extreme inferiority complex towards Ganon's biological mother, Landon Bullard. It was later found that during the candle incident, Ganon had wished for his mom to be present, which sent Leticia into a psychotic break, and she attempted to mask a murder in the form of an accidental fire. This failed attempt only added fuel to the fire, so the very next day, she called in a vacation from work and spent the day brutally murdering Ganon and erasing any traces of her crimes. With these findings, there was no escape for Leticia, and 8 days after this interview, she was officially arrested for her crimes. And while being transported to a...
Okay, I had to stop it. 8 days after the interview, she was arrested? No. First of all, the interview that you're showing right there is the FBI interview, which was after she was arrested. What do you mean 8 days after what interview she was arrested? It was more than a month after her first interview with police. Anyway, like I said, I'm not upset with Dr. Insanity in any way. This video reached 10 million people, and even for all the inaccuracies, it still brought awareness to Ganon Stauch and his murder and this case. It didn't do harm, but and again, I'm also familiar with the challenges of putting something together in a linear manner that is cohesive, true, and makes sense. Leticia has made it almost impossible, but anyway. Okay, I just had to pop in there. What do you mean she was arrested 8 days after this interview? Now, I know that's not true, but to anyone who watched it, any of those 10 million people who watched it, it's all good. It's just, this is... anyway.
County jail, out of pure frustration and insanity, she turns to the only other option she has, becoming a fugitive.
She keeps threatening me.
Stop.
Well, she keeps threatening.
Stop it.
Well, she keeps on threatening me. I have stopped it. She keeps on.
She got out of the restraints.
She keeps on threatening me.
I
will for you. She keeps
Put your arm down. Put your arm down.
Well, she keeps threatening me the whole time.
Tisha? I will with you. I said I would. Then give me your arm now. Well, I said I would with you.
I said I would with you.
I said I would with you.
I'm just asking to breathe. That's it. It's to breathe. That's all I want to do is breathe. You're hurting my arm.
My phone is jacking.
You're hurting my arm. You're hurting my arm. I just want my arm. It's hurting my arm. Just let my arm out.
It is ironic that Leticia complains about not being able to breathe, about how her arm hurts and how she's uncomfortable. Yet, when she did even worse to poor Ganon, she was filled with nothing but ecstasy and couldn't help but laugh in the face of the officers. Even more tragically, the circumstances that Ganon's body was found in would prove that his death was not instant. It was slow and painful. On March 17th, 2020, 49 days after his murder, a maintenance worker found a suitcase under Escambia Bay Bridge in Pace, Florida, 1,300 miles away from the Stauch home, and inside was Ganon's body. Autopsies done on the body showed high levels of acetaminophen and hydrocodone. While these are generally pain medications, hydrocodone was never prescribed to Ganon. It was prescribed to his father, Albert Stauch, who kept the prescription hidden in his nightstand, the location of which only Leticia was aware of. This means he was forcibly drugged to reduce the pain of his injuries, possibly in an attempt to fuel Leticia's sick fantasies. However, this was not the end of it. A gunshot wound in his jaw meant that after Leticia had her fun, she ended his life almost immediately. For nearly 2 months, Leticia was well aware of all these crimes. When she was finally put to trial, phone calls would be shown in court with Leticia begging Albert to stop cooperating with investigators so she could get immunity.
I need to know something about my son. I need to know something about Ganon. Do you know if he's safe? Do you know, is he safe? Where is he at? Do you have anything?
And if I kill Ganon, really?
What about this? I'm trying to think of any way.
So yes, I'm zooming in on myself in the courtroom. So this day at trial, I attended a good portion of Leticia Stauch's trial, as much as I could. So anyway, that's me right there. And it's one thing to listen to those pretext phone calls that Leticia had with Albert and secretly with the FBI. When you're listening to those on YouTube, you can adjust your volume. You can remove the earbuds. You can, smother your phone with a pillow to make her voice a little less abrasive. But you don't control the volume in the courtroom. And these phone calls in the courtroom were played so loudly. It was so uncomfortable. It was uncomfortable for me, which is fine, but it was also uncomfortable for the jury. I mean, look at her attorney. So Leticia at this point is just off to the right at the end of the defense table, right? So I could see her face instead of the back of her greasy damn head, right? Which was great. I preferred that. But even her attorneys are just like, make it stop. You know, they seem almost disinterested. And anyway, my point is, it seemed almost purposeful by the prosecution and the court. I feel like they could have, should have turned the volume down in the courtroom, but the effect that it had on the jurors, which are just to the left of the prosecution table in this video, the effect it had on the jurors, they started switching around in their seats. They're sitting differently. They're uncomfortable. I mean, if they could have left, I'm sure they would have left. And they didn't, because they couldn't, and they had a job to do. And I'm so grateful that they did their job. And I just wanted to point out, it's one thing to hear the calls. It's another thing entirely to be sitting in that courtroom listening to the calls with the jury in real time. It was awful. And as soon as I had a break, I went outside and I inhaled a cigarette and just tried to just get it out of my head. And it was almost impossible, you know? And Ava says, I admire you for being there. It had to be traumatic. Well, listen, it was on a certain level, but I would hate to talk about how I was traumatized by being a public observer of what happened in court. Trauma is Landon Bullard. Trauma is Albert Stauch. Trauma is Lena and Harley. Trauma is Letecia Stauch's defense attorney. He was traumatized. Will Cook, we're not going to talk about him at all, but I still, to this day, have a great respect for Josh Tolini. Not necessarily because of this case, but this case did not make me think less of him as an attorney. He's amazing. And I don't know if Mike Allen was traumatized or not. Mike Allen has probably seen more than anybody else in that room. And not that it would make it cold, just, you know, he can deal with it a little bit better. But I'll tell you the most traumatic point for me, now that I've made it clear that my trauma does not matter, I chose to be a part of this as it was going down. That was my choice. So for me to claim to be traumatized would be ridiculous. But anyway, my point is, if there was a point of trauma from me attending that trial in person, let me tell you what it was. It wasn't the day of the autopsy photos, although that was really painful for me as an observer. It was on day one. I think it was day one. It was early on. It was definitely within the first couple of days, within the first two. If not the first, it was the second. Anyway, I was sitting, okay, so see where I am in this image on the screen? And then to the left and in front of me is a reporter. I can't remember his name right now, but he did a lot of live tweets that were fantastic during the trial. But just to the left of him and behind is another person there. Well, where that person is sitting, that's where I was sitting, you know, after I had come back for break or because it was the second day. Anyway, I was sitting where she's sitting, and that is right in middle of the row. So just to the left of her, you see a bald gentleman. That gentleman was always dressed like an assassin. He reminded me of Secret Service. He was probably foreign. I don't know if he spoke English. He was a bad motherfucker, okay? I don't know how else to put it. He just had an air of like, do not step out of line. And he was always dressed in these sharp suits that were like all black with a black tie. I mean, anyway, he's sitting in the row. He's not, I mean, he's sitting in a chair in the aisle. He's not on the row. That's what I meant to say. Anyway, so that row, exactly where he's sitting, is where, and the door to the courtroom is all the way in the back of the room to the left, right? So that row, or that aisle, I'm sorry, that aisle where he's sitting is where, when they brought in evidence, they would have to walk up that aisle, up, past the podium and onto the witness stand in front of the jury. And on day 1 or day 2, they brought in, I think it was, I'm sorry, they brought in the actual suitcase that Ganon was found in. And the person who brought it in, wearing gloves, walked right by me. I mean, just right. I mean, we're talking like I was inches away from the fucking suitcase. And I lost it at that point. And I think I may have even left the courtroom quietly, as to not make a scene or cause a disruption or disturbance. I have physical goosebumps right now just telling you about that goddamn suitcase. Anyway, so if there was any sort of trauma that I suffered, I don't know. I also remember the first time they showed a picture of Ganon outside the suitcase. And that wasn't at the time of the coroner's testimony or the medical examiner's testimony. That was when they were interviewing the bridge guy. I better not say bridge guy. People think about Delphi. The Florida bridge worker who found that suitcase. They showed an image that the people who were watching on WebEx were unable to see, right? And that was an image of Ganon stuck in the fetal position with the blankets around him, and the suitcase was open, and it was, he was on the ground, but he was stuck in the fetal position even though he wasn't in the suitcase anymore. And they showed that image, and can you imagine being Ganon's mother in that fucking courtroom? Oh, the strength of that woman. Okay. Anyway, I am now 22 minutes late for an appointment with Martin Smallwood, who has a theory about the Barry Morphew case that I want to talk to you guys about. I am going to continue as long as we are waiting for Letecia Stauch's appeal. I will continue to put out more Stauch-related content, okay? Every Wednesday at 6:30 Mountain, we have either a live stream or a premiere. And I'm going through all of the jail calls that we've already listened to. I'm creating a new playlist. I want it to serve as an archive. I want it to be clean. I want it to be referenceable. Inside of every single video, you will have timestamps and who she called, and sometimes what they were talking about. I want it to serve as a library where you can go through those jail calls. If you don't want to go that level, that's fine. Don't go that level. But just know that on the homepage of my YouTube channel, there's a playlist at the bottom that is Letecia Stauch's jail calls. I've also ordered new calls. This most recent batch that we went through, we just finished that on Wednesday, this last Wednesday. Those were from September of 2020. And those are calls that we've never heard before on any channel. I've also ordered 2 more months of jail calls that we have never heard before on any other channel. And that is August and July of 2020. And I think that those are important. But this playlist of jail calls on my homepage, eventually that will become an archive of every publicly available phone call that Letecia Stauch made while she was awaiting trial. And that is a story in and of itself. That's an entirely separate book if we want to go that route. But anyway, it's on YouTube, and there is a new episode that either premieres or live streams every Wednesday from now until further notice, until we have every single jail call. There will be a premiere or live stream on Wednesdays at 6:30 Mountain, 8:30 Eastern. What else do I want to tell you? Let me look at my notes. I had a specific note here that I wanted to say. I am not an expert witness in this case, and Dr. Insanity is not on trial. Okay. Even though it says everything wrong with. Merchandise, there's always a plug for the merchandise at the beginning of the video. But since I have a note here, Jill, your coffee mug is on its way. It shipped yesterday. Other cases that we are following, Kimberly Singler. If you guys don't know about the Kimberly Singler case, you need to. If you were interested in Colorado's case against Letecia Stauch, you are going to be floored by Colorado's case against Kimberly Singler. Kimberly Singler is in the 4th Judicial District, same as Letecia. Michael Allen is the district attorney that will be prosecuting this case, as far as I know, depending on how long it takes. That's another piece of information. Mike Allen, the DA on the left of your screen, he's currently running for Attorney General of the state of Colorado. And he is the only Republican candidate that is running against, I think, 5 others, maybe 6. Anyway, my point is we might lose him because he might become Attorney General at the state level, which I would be very happy for him. But this is my home district, the 4th Judicial District of Colorado. I live in Colorado Springs. I hate to lose him on a local level as far as politics go, but I would like to see him on a state level as far as politics go. So if we lose him between now and then, I am sure that the 4th Judicial District will still put forward an excellent case against Kimberly Singler. Kimberly Singler is accused of killing 2 of her children, a 7-year-old boy named Aiden and a 9-year-old girl named Ellie. And she also had an 11-year-old daughter who I won't name, who was attacked but survived. And then this woman called 911. Well, first she waited for her mother to come home and find the dead bodies and the people attacked. She also attacked herself, all allegedly, pre-trial. Anyway, when her mother didn't come home, she finally decided to call 911 herself. And guess what? Report a burglary. She was attacked by an intruder. She blacked out. It was a burglary. And now her children are deceased, 2 of the 3. Also, while her 11-year-old daughter was still in the hospital having emergency surgery for her injuries, Kimberly Singler fled to London, allegedly chasing Superman's actor, but we won't get into all of that. She fled to London. She's finally been extradited. She was returned to Colorado Springs to face these charges right before Christmas. The first time we saw her in a Colorado Springs court was Christmas Eve. It was a huge gift to me. I have been following Kimberly Singler's case since it happened, and it's been a long process so far. Anyway, Kimberly Singler's preliminary hearing is currently scheduled for May of this year, and I hope that you guys will follow this case with me the same way. Well, no. No, not in the same way. I learned so much about what to do, what not to do, what is going too far, what is acceptable based on my own moral compass as far as covering these cases. So the case reminds me a lot of Leticia Stauch. A lot. You guys will be amazed. But it is not the same case, and it will be covered well and better on this channel. Okay, let me see. Back to the notes real quick, and I gotta go. We talked about Black Blink and Associates. So happy to have another practicing Colorado criminal defense attorney on board with the channel. We also have a private investigator with 30 years of federal law enforcement experience who is now a private investigator, a former federal agent. So between those two, it's not just me researching these cases. I don't have all the answers. I have a ton of questions, and I'm not afraid to ask them, and I'm not going to ask them of just anyone. We can all discuss everything, but when I seek counsel, I want it to be from somebody who would absolutely know what they were talking about. We talked about tonight's live stream, which is Martin Smallwood. We talked about everything. Anyway, we're not going to talk about any more right now. Like I said, until I know what happens with Leticia's appeal, I'm secretly, personally affected by it. It bothers me. So I'm going to continue making content about it. That we are, there's still a book to be published. Anyone who asked about the book, I appreciate it. People ask about it all the time, and that makes me feel really good. Even when they're asking because they want to be a hater and pretend that I've somehow misled people with a book that doesn't actually exist. Listen, my work speaks for itself. It will be published. It just hasn't been published yet, but it is in fact finished, which is why I'm working on now this 2-part docuseries, The Disappearance of Ganon Stauch, 1 hour, and the prosecution of Leticia Stauch, 1 hour. It will be precise and accurate and hopefully watchable and not boring. See, this Dr. Insanity video that we are almost done with, if I shut up, I'm not saying it wasn't well done. The video was well done. The video was timely. And again, even with the inaccuracies, it's better than I could have done at the time. So my criticism is because I want to do better in my own, even though my own is not exactly timely. Anyway, let's wrap it up, and then I got to get out of here. Oh, before I do, Ava, thank you so much for the super sticker. Every little bit helps, and that means the world to me. So thank you very much.
To cue the police to offer you immunity if they can, okay?
Because they'll try to incriminate me for this. I need immunity.
I think they give it to you because this is big that he was there and they missed it. Because then they're going to want to cover their shit for not finding him.
Regardless of these desperate attempts, Albert continued to cooperate with authorities to convict Leticia of her crimes. 3 years later, on May 8th, 2023, Leticia's trial concluded, a life sentence in prison without parole plus 156 years.
Let me get this off the screen. Let me put myself back. So, just like that very last little interjection that I put in about the video. So at the end of the Dr. Insanity video, it lists the charges. Now, when Leticia was first charged, she was charged with 1 count of child abuse resulting in death, along with all of the other charges, right? But the fact is, she wasn't actually convicted of that. It was dropped before trial began. And so I was just making it accurate. Once again, it was a powerful video. I'm so glad that Dr. Insanity did it. It was a good example of both. It was an example of a good video. It could have been a little more accurate. The basic premise of why she wanted to keep the police out of certain areas and them being confused about which area was which. All understandable. Still an excellent video. Thank you for listening to me jabber on about it, and I hope to see you guys tonight at 6:30 Mountain. Have a good rest of your day. I am going to be working.